Section 12. The Rise of Communist China. Introduction. In this study section, you will examine the factors that facilitated the rise of Communist China, especially the revolution of Mao Zedong in China and the foreign relations of China during the period. Learning outcomes. When you have studied this section, you should be able to 1. Explain communism in China under the leadership of Mao Zedong. 2. Describe China under Deng Xiaoping. 3. Discuss China's foreign relations up to 1999. Communist China under Mao Zedong. After the overthrow of Qing's nationalist government, the communists under the leadership of Mao Zedong took over the reins of government. It was influenced by the Marxist-Leninist principles, which reflected in his 5-year economic and social development plan. Mao first of all introduced the commune system, which was targeted at rural development after the individual land holdings were abolished. He revamped the educational system and urged the Chinese to embrace the virtue of self-reliance. In spite of his good intentions for the development of China, his economic development strategy, popularly referred to as the Great Leap Forward, undertaken between 1957 and 1959, suffered setback. In fact, it was said that nearly 27 million people perished due to frequent famine and floods. Subsequently, Mao had to step down for a while, but regained his strength. It is on record that Mao achieved a lot for China, both locally and internationally. Between 1966 and 1969, he launched the Cultural Revolution and appealed to the citizens to follow his thought and participate actively in his economic development plan. Before his death in 1976, Communist China acquired nuclear weapons, a great step in achieving big power status in the world. In fact, the Communist China in 1971 replaced Chiang's Formosa, Taiwan, in the Security Council of the UN. The Great Leap Forward was Mao's attempt to modernize China's economy so that by 1988, China would have an economy that rivaled America. China under Deng Xiaoping. After the demise of Mao Zedong in 1976, his successor, after overcoming a stiff challenge from Madame Mao and a gang of 4, was Deng Xiaoping. He rejected Mao's ideas and came up with his own economic construction policy. Unlike Mao, he advocated socialist market economy. His reforms came to be known as the 4 modernizations, namely modernization of agriculture, industry, science, and technology and defense. Special economic zones were created in the coastal regions of China to implement his theory of economic construction. Part of his impact was that in 1982, he gave a new constitution to the people. However, in spite of his administrative skills and giant stride at creating difference in China, his administration violated human rights. This was because China under Deng did not give attention to democratic aspirations of the people. Consequently, in 1989, Tiananmen tragedy took place, in which peaceful demonstration demanding political reforms was crushed, leaving nearly 5,000 killed and another 10,000 injured. Besides, leaders of the demonstration, mostly students, were also arrested to consternation of the Western world. Thus, China was condemned for violating human rights. China's foreign relations in historical perspective. China during the era of the Cold War supported Soviet Union, backed communist North Korea against South Korea. In 1962, China took over Tibet after suppressing a rebellion and also invaded India. This invasion of India by China was a flagrant betrayal of agreement on the part of China because she had earlier signed a treaty of peaceful coexistence, Panchshir, with India. It is important to know that China preferred to be isolated than associating with other countries of the world. China had isolated herself for a long time that the world was not aware of what was happening there. China preferred communism to capitalism. and was always ready to support communist countries against capitalist countries. A veritable example was China's support for North Vietnam against US-supported South Vietnam in the Vietnam War. The defeat of South Vietnam was indeed a victory for the communists in 1975. This, however, marked a turning point in China's relations with the Western countries, which improved a little in 1976. China's change of status on nuclear weapons and market reforms impressed the Western countries. In response, Britain handed over a colony of Hong Kong to China in 1997. Currently, China's attitude towards the US has improved, and China since early 90s has attracted foreign investment of over $40 billion. In fact, China has gained entry into World Trade Organization. Study section summary. In this study session, you learned how Communist China developed. This is the end of study section 12. Thanks for listening.